Just a few weeks ago, everything felt aligned. The conversations were smooth. The chemistry was real. You weren't forcing anything, and she wasn't resisting anything. It looked like one of those rare connections where the timing, the vibe, and the energy all clicked effortlessly. She laughed at your jokes. She asked personal questions. She hinted about the future. She responded instantly to every message. She kept telling you how different you were compared to every other guy. You didn't even need to try. And then, without a warning, without a slowdown, without even a shift in tone, she vanished. A clean, cold silence. This wasn't a slow fade. Not the casual, sorry, been busy gap. This was a disappearance so sharp it cut your ego like a blade. Her presence went from constant to extinct. No reply, no explanation, no closure. Just a digital graveyard where your last message sits like a tombstone. At first, you wait. A few hours. A day. You give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe something happened. Maybe she's overwhelmed. Maybe she's tired. But deep down, you know exactly what happened. She lost interest. Or worse, she replaced you. And then the emotional machinery starts grinding inside your chest. You go through every phase. Confusion. What changed? Self-blame. Did I say something wrong? Overthinking, rereading conversations, searching for invisible mistakes. Anger. At her. At yourself. At the situation. Rejection anxiety. The silent punch that hits when you feel disposable. But here's the part that separates you from the average man. You didn't collapse. You didn't bombard her with texts. You didn't beg, argue, or chase. You didn't send those pathetic or messages men sabotage themselves with. You did something rare. You kept your dignity. You took the hit like a man. You went silent too. You redirected your energy to your goals, your grind, your mission. You forced your mind forward even when your ego wanted answers. And slowly she faded from your thoughts. Not completely. No one vanishes cleanly. But enough that you stop checking your phone every hour. And just when your life stabilizes, just when you begin to feel that internal shift, just when you start to rise again, it happens. Your phone lights up. Her name. A message so short, so casual, so insultingly effortless that it makes your jaw clench. Hey, stranger. Or, hey, how are you? Or the most disrespectful one. Hi. No apology. No accountability. No acknowledgement of her silence. She's not reconnecting. She's checking your temperature. She's testing the door she once walked out of, seeing whether it still opens without resistance. And here's the brutal truth. This one moment determines everything. Right now, she doesn't want you. She wants to know if she still can have you. There's a difference. If you respond with excitement, relief, or instant availability, you lose everything you rebuilt. Because every woman instinctively understands this. A man who welcomes her back without consequences does not respect himself. She doesn't care about your forgiveness. She cares about your value, and your reaction tells her exactly how much of it you possess. Most men fail right here, not because they're weak, but because they misinterpret the message. They think, she missed me. She realized I'm the one. She made a mistake and wants to fix it. No, if she wanted you, she wouldn't have disappeared. If she valued you, she wouldn't have risked losing you. If she respected you, she wouldn't have ignored your existence. Her return isn't about you. It's about something missing in her life, and she's coming back to see if you're still the same predictable, easily accessed source of validation she abandoned. This isn't romance returning. This is a test, a probe, a calibration, a measurement. She wants to know, does he still want me even after I treated him like nothing? And your reply, or lack of reply, will define in her mind whether you are a man she must respect, or a man she can use. This is the psychological battlefield men walk into blindly, but not you. Today, you're going to understand exactly why she vanished, why she suddenly returned, what her message really means, what traps she expects you to fall into, what response recalibrates the entire dynamic, and how to walk away with either your dignity or her obsession. Because once you understand the real mechanics behind disappearing and reappearing, you will never be manipulated by it again. This is not a story about her. It's a story about your standard, and the next decision you make determines the rest of the story. Why she really came back. Before you decide how to respond, you must understand exactly what her message means. Not on the surface, but at the level of instinct, ego, and psychology. Because the truth is this: her disappearance made perfect sense. Her return makes even more. Most men never see the pattern. They only see the emotional pain. But when you strip away the illusion and analyze the mechanics, everything becomes obvious. Let's break it down with absolute clarity. 1. She disappeared because she had something better, or believed she did. This part stings, but truth always stings before it frees you. When a woman goes silent without warning, it usually means one of 4 things. A. Another guy captured her full attention. Someone gave her a stronger emotional spike. More excitement, more validation, more mystery, more challenge, and she shifted her emotional investment. B. You didn't give her the high she wanted. Maybe you were too available. Maybe too predictable. Maybe too eager. Maybe she felt she had you already. And nothing kills female interest faster than certainty. C. She wanted to see if you'd chase. Some women disappear on purpose to test your emotional stability. The vanishing act is a pressure test, a way to measure your insecurity based on how fast you crumble. D. She simply got bored. Not because you're boring, but because modern women are addicted to emotional stimulation. If you don't trigger her emotions, she'll gravitate to whatever does. And all of these reasons have one thing in common. None of them were your fault. And none of them were under your control. You didn't lose her. She drifted to someone else, to some distraction, or to her own ego. But here's the twist most men never understand. Her disappearance had nothing to do with your worth, but her return reveals everything about hers. 2. She came back for validation, not for love. When she texts you after vanishing, she's not coming back because she suddenly realized your value. No, she's returning because something in her life broke. Her ego, her attention pipeline, her temporary replacement, her sense of control. Maybe the new guy lost interest. Maybe her dating market reminded her she isn't as special as she believes. Maybe she felt lonely. Maybe nothing exciting happened that week. Maybe boredom hit her like a wave. Whatever the reason, the psychology behind her message is brutally simple. She wants to know if you'll still give her what she walked away from. Her text isn't affection, it's a probe, a calibration check, a test balloon to see if you're still orbiting around her. Women don't return because they miss the man. They return because they miss the feeling of being wanted, of being desired, of being chased, of being admired, of being validated. You were once a source of emotional supply, an easy one, a reliable one, a predictable one, and she wants to know if your tap still flows. 3. Her "hey" is not a message, it's a test. You must understand something crucial. When a woman sends a low-effort opener after disappearing, she's not trying to reconnect. She's performing a psychological scan. She's checking, is he still available? Is he still interested? Does he still want me? Can I still get his attention without effort? Is he still waiting? If your answer is yes, if your response is quick, warm, hopeful, or excited, she immediately categorizes you as the backup option, the emotional safety net, the validation vending machine, the man without boundaries. You become the guy she can ghost again, discard again, use again, ignore again. And do not doubt this. If she knows she can do it once, she will do it twice, and faster. Her return isn't a compliment, it's a warning that you're being tested, not wanted. 4. She expects you to fail the test, Women return like this because it works. Most men are so relieved, so desperate for the illusion of connection that they respond instantly. And that instant response confirms everything she needs to know. He'll accept any treatment as long as it comes wrapped in female attention. That's what she's betting on. She's betting your self-respect is weaker than your desire. She's betting your loneliness is louder than your standards. She's betting your ego wants validation more than it wants boundaries. She's betting you want her more than you value yourself. Most men prove her right, but not you. Not after today. 5. Her return is a power move, not a peace offering. You must see the real structure behind her behaviour. When she disappears, she's in control. When she returns, she's attempting to stay in control. The vanishing created distance. The sudden message is meant to control the reconnection. Notice the pattern. She didn't apologise. She didn't explain. She didn't acknowledge anything. She didn't show accountability. She didn't show vulnerability. She's trying to reset the dynamic without losing face or admitting guilt. She wants full access to your attention with zero consequences for her disrespect. This is not how people treat someone they value. This is how people treat someone they believe they own, and your response determines whether she's right. 6. Her return is a reaction to your silence. Here's something most men never realise. Women always return to the man who did not chase them. Your silence disturbed her. Your lack of reaction confused her. Your calmness created uncertainty. Your absence made her question herself. She expected you to crumble. You didn't. She expected you to chase. You didn't. She expected you to beg. You didn't. When a woman cannot predict a man's emotions, she becomes obsessed with regaining her influence. You stopped giving her the emotional response she thought she owned. That is why she's back, not for you, but for the power she feels slipping. 7. Her text is not a reconnection, it's a restart of the game. Understand this. She's not trying to resume where things left off. She's trying to start a new round under better odds, for her. She wants to return to your life from a position of superiority. She wants to re-enter as the chooser, not the chosen. Her message is her way of saying, let me see if I still control the narrative, and she's counting on you to hand that power right back. But the moment you break the pattern and respond differently than she expects, everything shifts. How to respond like a man with standards. You now understand why she left, why she returned, and what her message really means. Now we get to the only thing that matters, your response. Because this moment is not about her, it's about you. This is where weak men destroy themselves and strong men permanently change the dynamic. This is where a man proves whether he is a backup option or a self-respecting force. Your response determines your value. In her mind, never forget this. A woman decides your value not by what you have, but by what you tolerate. If you tolerate disrespect, she sees you as weak. If you ignore the disappearance, she sees you as replaceable. If you welcome her back immediately, she sees you as predictable. Weakness, tolerance, predictability, these are death sentences in female psychology. Your reply is the final exam for your self-respect. And the rules are simple. You never reward disrespect. You never ignore patterns. You never erase the past to make her comfortable. You answer in a way that makes her confront herself. That makes her feel your backbone. That makes her realize you're not another soft man waiting for crumbs of attention. Strategy, number 1, delayed response, the most masculine move. Before you type anything, before you read her message twice, before you smile or get annoyed, you wait. Wait an hour. Wait 3 hours. Wait until evening. Wait until the next morning if you want. Why? Because your delay communicates something far more dominant than any fancy line. I no longer revolve around you. Women expect immediate reactions from the men they believe they control. Your silence disrupts that expectation instantly. This is psychological shock therapy. It forces her to wonder, did he move on? Did I lose him? Why isn't he jumping to reply? Why does this feel different? Your delay is the first crack in her arrogance, the first sign she doesn't own your attention anymore. Strategy. Number 2, the calm, cold call-out, respectful but unignorable. Once you decide to reply, your message should not be warm, enthusiastic, needy, forgiving, excited, emotional. It should be something that cuts through her illusion without anger, without drama, without softness. A line like, haven't heard from you in a while, or you disappeared for weeks, or interesting timing, short, dry, undeniable. This does 3 things simultaneously. Acknowledges the disrespect. You refuse to pretend nothing happened, removes her control over the narrative she must confront her behaviour, reveals your psychological strength. You're calm, you're centred, you're not emotionally reactive. Women crumble around men who can stay neutral and grounded under emotional pressure. This line alone filters 90% of low-quality women. She will either A. apologise and give a real explanation, or B. get defensive and leave again. Both outcomes benefit you. You either regain respect or remove trash from your life. Strategy. Number 3, the direct standard, for men who want absolute clarity. This one takes courage, but it is the ultimate demonstration of masculine self-worth. When she says, hey, you reply, I don't entertain people who disappear without a word. That's it. No softness, no emotion, no anger, just truth. A line like this does something powerful. It forces her to confront the gap between her behaviour and your standards. Weak men panic. But won't she leave? Yes. If she's trash, she will leave. And you should be grateful. Because here's the truth men hate to admit. You don't want a woman back who disrespects you and fears accountability. A strong woman will apologise. A flaky woman will run. This is how you filter quality from chaos. Strategy. Number 4, the no response. The strongest move a man can ever make. If she was manipulative, if she's done this before, if she ghosted you repeatedly, or if you simply no longer care, do not respond. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. Your silence is not revenge. It's closure. It communicates something she cannot ignore. Your access to me is over. And make no mistake, this is the one move that breaks a woman's ego completely. Because disappearing is easy, but being ignored by a man she once controlled, that is psychological devastation. Especially when she expected you to be weak. The men she ghosted in the past all reacted the same way. They begged, they chased, they asked questions, they forgave instantly, they competed for her attention, but you gave her silence. That silence is thunder. The mindset of a man who never gets disrespected again. Everything you say or don't say must come from one internal truth. My time, my attention, and my emotions are valuable. I do not give them to people who treat them carelessly. This is the mindset that separates men who get treated like options from men who get treated like priorities. Here's what this mindset means in practice. You never chase validation, you never reward bad behaviour, you never collapse emotionally, you never beg for attention, you never negotiate your standards, you never fear losing someone who disrespected you, you never put a woman above your dignity. When you adopt this mindset deeply, women feel it immediately. It radiates in your tone, it vibrates in your silence, it echoes in your posture, it lives in your decisions. A man with standards is more attractive than a man with looks, money, muscles or status, because standards signal self-respect, and nothing triggers female desire more than a man who refuses to be disrespected. This is where you become the man. They don't ghost twice. Understand this final truth. Her return is not a gift. It's not a compliment. It's not a blessing. It's a test. A test of your spine. A test of your self-worth. A test of your emotional stability. A test of your boundaries. A test of the man you are becoming. You don't win this test by saying the perfect thing. You win by not betraying yourself. She left because she thought you'd still be waiting. She returned to see if she was right. Your response decides the ending. If you respond weakly, she will ghost you again. If you respond neutrally, she will adjust to your new frame. If you ignore her, you will break her ego and free yourself forever. Whatever you choose, choose from strength. Because in the end, the message you send her is nowhere near as important as the message you send yourself. And that message is simple. I do not beg for the company of people who treat me like I am disposable. A man who understands this never loses a woman of value. He only loses the ones who are never worth keeping.